Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure, and I welcome you all to this very interesting talk by Professor Sivakumar. That's India's digital payment revolution under the hood. That's what's going on inside. Our speaker is a highly accomplished individual in the sphere of digital payments, and as many of you are aware, he has done wonderful work in this area, being from IIT Bombay. Of course, Jaju Sahib will introduce to him in detail. And regarding our digital revolution, India's digital sector is thriving, enabling the country to leaping from a cash-centered economy to a fully digitally empowered economy. Having one of the largest payment ecosystems in the world, yes, we have certain drawbacks. We are emerging as a big manufacturing center. But as many of you are aware, the kind of wallets and the digital solutions we have, instant payments, they are much, much faster than you see in the so-called advanced or Western world, like especially the Europe and the UK. So this is an area where really we have an edge. And we have our great dream, our Prime Minister dream of attaining a 5 trillion economy by 2025. So during that time, we can see really the exponential growth of this sphere, which is very powerful. Not only powerful, it makes life so easier, and more than anything else, it's such a secure thing. That is the best part. In light of the so much of cybercrime we see in this sector, but this is one sector where our UPI, which is very unique, and similar technologies. So we are really grateful for Professor Sivakumar for sparing his time and addressing us. I fondly remember, Jaju Sahib, in November, we had a full-day FinTech conclave here, and where Jaju Sahib had lined up wonderful speakers from across this country, especially from the UPI and other places where the light was thrown in the different areas. And we also mentioned that time about our digital currency, and I think just within a week, it was actually rolled out. That's in the evolution stage. Right now, 4 banks are doing it. There are lots of do's and don'ts, but I'm sure within 6 months, it'll be something very different. And it'll be unique because this is fully regulated, unlike the cryptos, which are practically, in a common man's language, I would call it like a parallel economy. So that is why our regulators, especially the RBI, I would credit them to be very powerful. Even in the 2008 crisis, because of RBI was strict, our financial systems and our systems were quite intact. So similarly, these kind of regulations are helping us go a long way and still riding the new technologies. Even though cash remains the dominant mode of transaction, digital payments are witnessing a massive year. Now, apart from the wallets, you will see, we were very fast when the net banking came to India. One by one, we have that, instant money transfer, IMPS, then NEFT, RTGS, other SWIFT was always there, but now these are so fast. And again, now with our BEAM and UPI, we have seen the revolution. And again, it is being adopted by so many other platforms, like business owners and entrepreneurs know that today all of the statutory payments are online, right? Your income tax, GST, your employee funds, provident fund, ESI. And in all these sites, one by one, they are even enabling, you have a choice by, a small entrepreneur can not necessarily go to the site by maybe mobile, he can do a UPI payment to pay the statutory dues. So these are some of the small steps which are leading this kind of great revolution, which is seen nowhere else in the world. So this is something we are looking forward to. And again, it's another interesting fact that in other countries, the internet was driven by broadband. And India is one country where internet has been driven by mobile. So, and it's again, I've made this statement before, it's very paradoxical that you'll see in the semi-urban or rural areas that the household will be not having a single toilet, but we're having 5 mobile phones, So this is the kind of paradox we are seeing. And this intact, the driving of internet through mobile has made us leapfrog. I consider this without citing any statistics, but you can all see how it is there. And this is a blessing because we have the cheapest data in the world. These are our enablers, having the cheapest data in the world. It's other countries, Europe, even maybe 10 minutes you use your phone data, it's pretty few dollars, whereas here, that few dollars may be lasting for 3 months for you, and unlimited or 2 GB per day is unthought of even today in the so-called Western countries. So I don't want to take much of your time, and before I hand it over to Jaju Sahib to talk about the theme and introduce the speaker, I'll just welcome our speaker, with a flower and a memento.
Well, friends, it's truly a matter of great pride, pleasure, and joy for me to introduce Professor Sivakumar. I know him since last 30 years. First came to know of him or met him, had developed friendship in US. And then, of course, both of us came back and we continue our association. Siva has done, Professor Sivakumar has done BTech from IIT Chennai, 1982. Then he went abroad, did masters, and then PhD actually from University of Illinois, and passed out in 1988. After he finished the PhD, he joined University of Delaware as a faculty, and I was already there, so we had an overlap for some time. I came back in 1989, and he stayed there 2 more years, 1991. But that time itself, I noticed that he wants to come back, like a good Indian, He wants to come back to India and contribute to India. So 1991, he came back and joined IIT Mumbai as a professor in computer science. And then our association thickened even further because it was the time when internet was taking shape, local area networking were being built in different institutions. So me and Siva worked very closely to build institute-wide networks at our respective places. At IIM Ahmedabad, I did it, and he did at IIT Mumbai. And we used open source software. We used Linux 0.99, if you remember, actually, With that we began. And that time there were not very many technology companies. And even if they were there to supply components and technology, we had to teach them how to do things actually. It was that kind of era. But it was a wonderful experience actually, But well, so 91 he joined IIT Mumbai as a faculty in computer science, and of course done extremely well there. His core research interests was actually formal logic. As I remember, he did PhD in that. And he is in the area of application of logic in diverse areas of computer science, such as artificial intelligence, software engineering, and network security. Currently, he is heading a center for formal design and verification of software. This formal design and verification software is extremely critical because it is done for projects where safety is very important, real-time systems safety actually. And such systems include computer-based control system used in nuclear reactors, in space, in avionics, process control, and robotics actually. So he looks at how do we verify and make sure that the software is going to perform what it's supposed to perform actually, Our plane doesn't crash, sort of, Anyway, so Professor Sivakumar has published more than 25 papers in reputed journals and conferences, supervised 5 PhD theses, 80 master's theses. He served also as a board member in IIT Bombay's Board of Governors, 2006 to 7. He has been on the governing council of IDRBT. IDRBT is Institute for Development and Research in Banking Technology, which is an arm of RBI. RBI had set up this to do research for banking, banking technology as such. It's really a core institute which has led to what we are seeing today actually. And since 2005, he has been a member there. I have been also there for about 10 years, along with him as a governing council member. Plus, tremendous interest in open source software, I told you. He was a founder member of the Open Source Software Resource Center, set up with IBM and CDAC, and had chaired committees on interoperability framework for open standards in e-governance. Government of India wants open source everywhere, actually, so that we don't have proprietary technologies and we are not ripped off, by licensing costs and all that. And he headed that committee, He has served as independent director on the board of Andhra Bank and NPCI, National Payment Corporation of India. He is currently an independent director at CCIL, NSDL, National Securities Depositories Limited, IFTAS. IFTAS is another arm set up by RBI for managing the IT infrastructure for the central bank, and interbank operations and things like that, IFTAS and IIPF. He serves on several technical advisory committees, including those of RBI, NPCI, CCIL, NSDL, SEBI. But ये सब तो लोग चीज़ें और लोगों के पास में हो सकती है, but he is very good chess player. I have seen him playing chess so many times. Carnatic music, great fan of that. His younger brother is a very famous violinist, actually, and Sanskrit, actually. There are three passions that he has. But I like him, Siva, for your sense of humor, very unassuming personality, and very warm to meet with, actually. So this is the way I know Siva. Now, on the theme, of course, Mr. Radi has spoken some part. I could also speak because I was also associated with, under the hood, what was happening in our payment system. But we are paucity of time. There's a lot of interesting content Siva has, and I'm sure he's going to go through the kind of a major theme that is there. So that theme for today's talk, I will skip and let Siva cover as he goes forward, actually. With that, thank you very much. And Siva, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Radia and Professor Jaju, for giving me this opportunity to come here and present this talk on the payment revolution that has happened in India. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I thank Professor Jaju for the very kind introduction. It goes a long way. So without further ado, let me just start the talk. I have planned it in 3 parts, not all equal length. We'll spend more time on the good. There was a movie called Good, Bad, Ugly, so I sort of used that everywhere. Clint Eastwood movie. So the good part is, of course, I think known to everybody, we have seen it, but maybe I'll try to present some perspectives on what is the great thing, RBI's payment vision, how it has helped, what is the dream, and where we have reached, how far we have reached, some numbers, statistics. And then, of course, quickly a little bit on the bad, because otherwise this talk was not needed if everything is good. So there is a lot of fraud and risk and other things, and how those have to be prevented if it is to continue. The dream should not become a nightmare. So that is a part I'll spend a little bit of time on. And then, of course, the last part which I like, but I'm not sure, both due to time and due to probably the interest, is what is there? What is the technology? What are the challenges we face when building such a system at citizen scale? We have 130 crore people, and the goal is not just to reach the top cream, but to include everybody. So where are the technical challenges, and what are the big pillars which you have to solve if you want to address that? So I'll spend some time on that. So this is the plan, but let's see how it goes, and please feel free, since it's more interactive is possible in this audience. Stop me if I'm going off on a wrong track, and I'll ask Saumil and Professor Jaju to raise their hand if they want me to move on faster, because sometimes we get stuck here and there. So with that, let me start. So it's worth spending a few minutes before we go into payments and currency, into how life has changed. And this diagram we all know, we started from the apes, and we are back to the apes, sitting in front of a computer. So this book by, if you have not read, Sapiens, there's an author called, it's what it explains, was it good or bad and so on. And so this is in the way that we have come, before we have come to computers, there have been many other technology innovations which are as significant as computers. But their speed and the time that we had to assimilate is nothing compared. It was a long scale, whereas computers are moving at such a pace, our life is changing the way we know it like this. So for instance, zero, wheel, printing press, radio, lasers, everything has impacted. And what is technology? According to Arthur Clarke, it is anything, it is indistinguishable from magic. I'm sure my grandmother, if I had told her that I can now press a few buttons and I can see my niece in US eating food, and I can talk to her. I can't eat the food, but she will think something wrong with you. Okay? And I can do it from here, this. And we all have done it. So that will seem like magic to people who lived, about 150 years back also. So this is what is happening in technology. And what the second part again to tell you, this diagram says this is the dream, that the only thing that man has not conquered, according to Harari, is death. All of us age, all of us die. And he says that what we have, the solution, and obviously we won't go into that, is to implant everything in our mind. We can change our hand, we can change our knees, we can change our heart. All that is happening in bits and pieces. Can we change our brain also? Can we put some things there? And can we pass on? So it's a dream. Let's not do that now. But that's where we are heading. And internet revolution has made all this possible in many ways. So again, just a minute on this, that you can probably talk for one whole day on internet revolution. But in if you want to divide it into three big chunks, the 1.0 is the right to information. Everybody, even in small villages in India now, can access information at their fingertips. So like he said, mobile data cost, we are the cheapest nation, and so on and so forth. And this itself is a boom. A lot of things have happened. But just having access to information is not enough. So the Web 2.0 is the social media. When you have Facebook and Twitter and Wikipedia, and people can collaborate, and they don't need a lot of money to make an impact, all these things, your view is also heard by others. You're not just consuming information. You are generating information, and the quality of the information gets you viral videos. Kolaveri, you have heard that song? Okay. Of course, the risk is also there that it has unreliable information, threats, false information, all that has come. That is Web 2.0. Web 3.0, it has a different meaning now, but one of the ways to look at Web 3.0 is when AI and ML are used. That from knowledge, we move one more step and try to do wisdom, or not wisdom really, intelligence. Try to correlate the knowledge and make suggestions and useful things which is useful to you, rather than you have to manually apply your mind. Okay, so intelligent agents. So again, like I said, since today's theme is not that, I will just give one example. See, there are about 50 people here. If you have come here, we could have, before coming here, said that after the talk, somebody wants a dosa, somebody wants something else. Okay, chole bhatura, somebody else wants pizza. Then we could have pressed all those choices in the AMA website or some other mobile app. And then the orders could have been collected and delivered. So as we walk out of the room, each one can be given what they want. Of course, AMA will pay, don't worry about it. That's where the theme of the thing is, that if you want to do all these things, technology is possible. And it requires that all these companies, all these food companies and Swiggy and delivery guy, everybody should get their cut of the money. And who is paying? Everybody should pay their share of the money. All this is solved. So we are coming to payments now. But this means that the computers have to talk to each other, machine-to-machine communication. No human being sitting in the middle will take orders and write it down and send it or call on the phone. All those old things are gone. Okay, so they have to be now correlated. So this is what I have said. This is where Web 3.0 is AI meets big data, which meets 5G, which is our technology, IoT, blockchain. No humans in the loop, and payment is going to drive all this. So coming to the theme of payment, before that, one more example. And this is more relevant for the aging people and so on and so forth, but even for youngsters. This is not the Harari dream that we put implants all over our body. This is for your own health. That it is quite possible that very soon we will be having implants under our skin, measuring our blood pressure, our oxygen, our sugar, our this, our that, and so on and so forth, and also other information embedded in our earring or our whatever you are wearing. This is called embedded computing. And what could happen, and this is not a very happy scenario, this is the talk given in 2-3 years back in a symposium on artificial neural networks and so on. So they said that if you get into an accident, then automatically alarm goes from here, the ambulance comes, all your readings are taken, your doctor is told, even before you reach the hospital, of course provided your bank account is there, your payment is well understood, smart contracts are there. So we are coming to the payments theme. But look at this. This is the worst case scenario. When you're in an accident, an ambulance should come. But look at the other horrible things that can happen. You're in a hotel, you're about to eat pizza, and the pizza is coming. You get a phone call from your doctor, don't eat, your blood sugar is high. Go back. That's possible, okay? So that we could be monitored like that, and for our own good or for our bad, we will see later. So that's what it says. Eating, we eat for whose stomach? That's the joke. We don't eat for our stomach, we eat for our doctor's stomach. Half of what we eat is enough for us. The other half, doctor is going to pay the bill. So by finally coming to the theme, for all this money, without money. So as you can see that we can look at revolution and change in various ways. And this we all know, Andagajanyaya, that elephant being seen by different people will be seen as different things. So even today, the theme of payments is so vast. Okay, I'm just going to jump from one part to the other. Sometimes it will look like the tail, sometimes it will look like the trunk, but I hope it will give you some feel that there is something big, which we will then grasp with further analysis. So this is where we start. So coming to the theme, this is still 2-3 years old, and the gap is much bigger now. India is well ahead of China. Even 5 years back, we were not. Digital payments and moving money in real time, we are now the leader by quite a margin, double of others, sort of. So China and then US and all those people are way behind us in terms of real-time payments. And this is one graph that illustrates that very well. And it says how much it is. This was in 2020, and the gap has gotten bigger and bigger. So why are we the world leaders? How did we get there? So let's spend a minute, 5 minutes on money itself. So many of, I don't know if any of you heard this song, Money, Money, Money. Yes. It's so funny. The rich man's world. Yeah, that's so old people have heard of it. So money has its history. We can go deep into that barter system, exchanging cows, exchanging grains, exchanging goods. That was not good, so then they came up with gold coins, silver coins, and so on and so forth. Then they came up with cash, currency. Okay, and then today we are talking digital. So digital is going to be the focus of this talk, but let us remember the other things were there before. So the question then comes, what is the root cause? Why do we need money? Can we eat it? Okay, we can't. So what do we use money for? The paper, I have a 2,000 rupee note. It's not, I can't do anything with it. It's worthless paper unless there is this notion of agreed central bank liability. So it has three meanings. It is used as a mode of exchange. That when I take a good and service from you, I give you this paper. So in some sense, I've given you something which you can use for buying other things. So the barter is happening through this medium. Similarly, it is a unit of account. We don't know which one is costlier, 1 liter of petrol or 1 liter of milk or 1 liter of water. So we put different values on that. And the other one is, of course, this is not true, because today Professor Jaju was sitting with me and telling me a lot about investment. You can't just keep money under the pillow. So money doesn't serve that purpose. You have to invest it and grow it and so on. But still, in some inflation-free days, money also had a value, and it could store value and accumulate it for future use. You can't consume. Whereas food you have to consume today. You can't store it under your pillow. Money you can and use it later. So whether it's worth doing is a different issue. So I'll tell you two small stories. One is, of course, this is the philosophical story. Alexander was the emperor, king of the world, and so on. He had heard about this philosopher Diogenes, who was very respected because of his knowledge and eccentric ways and so on and so forth. So Alexander wanted to meet him. He went, and Diogenes was lying on the ground, reclining, enjoying. And Alexander gave him a 5-minute lecture. I am the emperor, I have done this, I have done that. And he says, I can give you whatever you want. What do you want? Do you want anything from me? So Diogenes said, yes. So he was very happy. He wants something from me. He said, what do you want? He said, you please move and stand on this side. You are blocking the sun. So I only want that. Okay? So that is to tell you, money is not the end of everything. And we know all this philosophy, moksha and this and that and so on. So at some point we have to leave that attachment. But coming to the more realistic one, all of you would have seen the Gandhi movie. He's released from jail in South Africa. He wants to go back home. So that British jailer, or a South African jailer, I don't know which nationality he is, just says, because Gandhi is well known even then, meets him and says, okay, go. So do you want anything? He says, I want taxi fare to go home. So Gandhi doesn't have. That guy also puts his hand, he also doesn't have cash. So he calls his orderly and says, give me. Because we are all used to, once you reach a certain stature, you don't really pay. Okay, you have a card, you have a badge, somebody comes, some driver picks you up, and so on and so forth. So money that way has always been different meanings to different people at different strata of society. From the philosopher to all these politicians who don't need money. Somebody is coming with them and taking care of the bills. to us, the day-to-day persons who have need it in various ways. So I'm going to ask a trick question now, and several times in the rest of the talk you have to answer. So this story is about, many of you may have heard it. Duryodhana was asked, go and find a good man. Come back in the evening with one good man. And Yudhishthira was told, go and find a bad man. Come back in the evening with one bad man. So do you know what happened? Both of them came back empty-handed. Duryodhana said, I can't even find one good man. Everybody I meet has some bad quality. Yudhishthira said, I can't meet one bad man also. Everybody I meet has a good quality. So both came back empty-handed. So who is the winner? Who was better? Who are you? How many of you are Duryodhana? How many of you are Yudhishthira? So that's why I call this trick question, because it's a false binary. And I'm going to ask, is paper better, currency better, digital currency better? Is this better, is that better? As we go along, you have to ask yourself the question. And there is no 100-0 answer, okay? So each has a plus and minus. With that, this story, we will probably, as we evaluate certain options, keep this story in mind. So you need not be either this way or that way, so you have to use it discretionary. So let's take paper money versus digital money. Some essential characteristics, I'm not writing all the characteristics. We want trust. The money should not be currency which is not valued, devalued, demonetized tomorrow. So that is one way of trust. Another way, of course, is the economy itself is tanking, so cash has no value, inflation rate goes up, so up like anything. Safety, liquidity, integrity, all this is needed, and you use it as a medium of exchange. But paper has some merits and digital has some merits. So let us not look at money. Let's spend 2 minutes looking at elections. How many of you want the old paper ballot back? So is it feasible to roll back? People are still trying. They're saying there is some minor technical fault in the EVM, and if you subject it to alpha ray and beta ray and 20 people do something, then one vote will change. But all of us have trust now in EVMs. Of course, that trust is not there in the remote. Last 10 days you'd have read. They want to have a system for migrant workers to vote when they're, but all the political parties are opposing it. So that opposition is a different reason, not the technical reason, okay? But what I want to say is that technical gives you some pluses and minuses which are harder to achieve than paper achieves certain things quite easily. That they mix the ballots and count. You cannot identify who voted plus who voted, and they mix constituencies and count. So that you don't know which constituency voted for this party, which constituency for that party. There are many, and then they put this indelible mark. I don't know indelible and all that. Each one has its flaws, but there are many properties which the electronic system found hard to replicate. And in currency, what happened? Cash has many things which people want. They don't want any record of what they did. I give you, when you see a rupee note, you don't know who steals my purse, steals trash. That is Shakespeare's thing. It was mine, it was his, it can be his. That 200 rupee note, we don't know who all owned it, we don't know who all touched it. I mean, don't talk about fingerprints and all that, leave all that. Okay? Normally, it could have gone to a fruit seller, it could have gone to a bus conductor, it could have made its way all over India, come back to you. No traceability, right? But settlement finality is there. I give that 200 rupee note. Of course, fake notes are there, and people have to watch whether the note is really an Indian currency note or something else. But barring that, it is accepted everywhere. Now it's digital like that. This morning when I paid for my taxi, there was a thing was circling for some time. I was using one of the QR code scanners to pay, and I was a little worried. What if that scan didn't come, and what if the network didn't say paid? I didn't have the 200 I'm saying. But these things can happen, right? So these are some of the things which are plus and minuses. I can't list all of them, but let me list some minuses, one plus and one minus for the minus I already said. Digital always leaves a trail. And unless you trust the government or you trust the issuer of this digital currency, there has to be some notion which cash can easily give. Cash, you don't have to explain to everybody how you got the cash. But to get the digital currency into your mobile phone or into your ownership, they will know at what time it happened, they may know where it happened. All these things the technologists have to prove. And I'm going to give the method for that in the last part of the talk. It's called zero knowledge proofs. That I will be able to show that you own the thing without knowing when you got it. I hope you got the concept. Okay, the proof and all we'll see later. That is the under the hood thing. How do we guarantee this level of secrecy in digital? In paper, it's very easy to understand. Because unless the fingerprint or some DNA or something sticks to it, it's difficult. So, but let us look at advantages. Let us not look at the disadvantages of digital. Two advantages, I will just give one example each. One is called programmability. In a cash, I cannot say you can use this only for buying food. So the poor villager, you give it to him thinking he's going to buy food, he actually drinks and beats his wife or something, family. So you think you're doing good, but so giving money can have unintended. Digital money, you can actually purpose it. It's like that gift coupon, I'll tell you, that's called e-rupee, not the central bank e-rupee, E-R-U-P-I. So I'll give an example of that. And the other one is that leaving trails is not always bad. Okay, it has some bad things if the government is against you and wants to find you and fine you and this and that, but there are also good things. One of the good things is what's called OCEN. Anybody has heard of that? Open Credit Enablement Network. I want a 500 rupee loan. If I go to State Bank and say, give me 500 rupees, will they even let me enter the door? The cost is, overhead is too much for them. They'll ask what is the collateral, with KYC, you do that, you do this, you do. We'll show how all those things. These two things will give us an example for telling why digital is good. So this e-rupee is a voucher-like system which NPCI has implemented in the last 1 year. And it can be money, digital money earmarked for a particular purpose. It can be used by a student only to pay his college. It cannot be used for anything else. And it can be used geotagged. He has to pay it in his village. He has to pay it within this date. All those things can be programmed into the money. E-rupee does not do all of that. But government benefits, you already know how DBT has helped a lot, right? Pilferage has reduced a lot. When the government was going through middlemen and paying versus putting money in the bank account. But now they are putting general money in the bank account. If they put general money in the bank account, it can be used for any purpose. If they can target it for medical expense or child's education or this or that, then the digital money thing can help in a much better way to achieve the benefits that you want. Fertilizer for medical facilities, so on and so forth. So this is the e-rupee, and I'm sorry these diagrams are becoming a little smaller, but I should mention right now so that I don't forget. In the last slide, I have the NPCI and the website and other website references and so on. You go there, it is the best. I think I should thank Professor Jaju specifically for this. In the last 2 weeks, I have learned so much, and it's well documented. Examples are given, explanations are given how it works. And you can sponsor. So if you are now going to, e-rupee has the potential not only for governments to give vouchers. You already give gift vouchers, no? Bookshop and all. Like that, with your mobile app, you can sponsor a e-rupee, E-R-U-P-I, to somebody. And they can use it for whatever purpose you want them to use or they want and you have mutually agreed on. And the flow works, everything works. Settlement happens in the back end. Okay, all those guarantees are given in the protocol. So now let's come to the CDBC. This is the central bank issued digital currency, e-rupee. This is already operational. So I'm just summarizing here through a well-known diagram, what's called the money flower diagram. Some important properties which I was mentioning qualitatively. It should be universally accessible. It can be. Each of these colored eggs or ovals is representing some property that needs to be achieved. Now electronic need not be achieved, but some currencies achieve electronic, they are digital. Some are central bank issued. Some are peer-to-peer. This is the cryptocurrency he was talking about. There is no third party. There is no government. There is no Reserve Bank, there is no US Federal Reserves. This is money between you and me. And we can prove to each other who wants the money out of both. This is the peer-to-peer. And it has pluses and minuses. And if you look at where all of these intersect, it intersects here. Central bank issued cryptocurrency, which is digital currency on your phone, which cash comes close but does not have the property of being digital. Okay, so if you have time later, you can study this in detail. But this is the example. Near RBI, this fruit seller is now accepting e-rupee. So this is the advantage of e-rupee is it is much closer to cash than UPI. When I make a UPI payment, I told you, I was waiting for that PIN code. I was waiting. Why was I waiting? A message has gone to my bank. My bank has to see if I have enough balance and then say yes. So my bank knows. The bank guy knows that this morning I took this auto. And then Ola knows I took our car. I took it from here to there. They know what time I took. They know everything about me if they put their heads together. So we'll look at tokenization later, a method to avoid. See, all these are problems which technologies have to admit. And you should not say what is okay, what is okay. You have to agree, because a lot of opponents are going to say, this, I don't like this, I don't want anybody to know this. Then you can show them that technology can prevent this correlation of data. And you can tokenize, you can do better, and so on and so forth. So depending on the time, I will give some examples mathematically how you can do that. But what happens in e-rupee is like that. You directly pay from your thing to him. No bank knows. Okay? The tokens identity owners is changed, ownership is changed. And what comes in my digital wallet goes to his digital wallet. And even central bank doesn't know. It's a transfer of money direct person to person, just like cash. It's a little hard to explain, but for those who have interest, you have to think how this can be done mathematically, what is actually happening. Okay, so this is the e-rupee. Now the second advantage of digital money that I said, let us say you are the Ola driver himself, and you are paying your bills. He is also paying his milk bill, he is paying his that bill, he is paying so many other things. He is even buying, let us say, pan from that shop. And if he uses this to pay, then his bank has information about his transactions. Each transaction may be very small value. So what they are now, RBI has proposed is something called account aggregator. They are saying, what is the value of this information? Can you see any value in that information that one particular person has been spending, earning 2,000 rupees a month, spending 1,500 a month, and he has been doing it for last 10 months. Who will benefit from this? Somebody where he wants a small loan. He wants a loan for 10 days to buy some vegetable seller. Okay, so then the system can identify him as a reliable person and give him a credit rating. This is what account aggregator is. That account aggregator is a person with whom if I register, I can authorize all these personal loan, small loan guys to, if I authorize, they can get data about me. And I may have 2-3 bank accounts, I may have 2-3 bills paid. So the account aggregator will, based on my identity, he cannot read the data, he cannot sell the data. But a consent-based access to this data can be provided by the account aggregator. See, the consent to share I have to tell. So I gave you a very example of 100 rupees, 500 rupees. You can go a little higher. You want to buy a scooter. Okay, you want to buy a house. So how do you prove you are credit worthy? You don't own anything, collateral. But your history of transactions in many things, your salaries have come to you through the account, your bills have been paid by you through your account. So if all this information can be put together by the person providing the financial users, it can be a wealth manager, robo-advisors, credit person who gives loans, they don't have direct one-to-one arrangement with each of the banks. So they come through this, which is RBI has introduced this and it's been working for the last 1 year or so. You can then prove to others that I am credit worthy for various ticket size loans. And again, in the interest of time, traditional lending system is the heavy one where you go to a bank, fill form, sign things, give proofs. This type of thing is from your mobile. You can just say, I want a loan of 2,000, somebody else may say, I give you the loan. And he gets paid automatically. This is what is called smart digital money. Digital loans have this notion of programmability. So we can have ways from which your next few installments of money are deducted to him automatically, sent to him. So it's not operational yet, but OCEN is the abbreviation. Full form for that is Open Credit Enablement Network. It shows that it can be done, enabled. It's an enabler. And using this, you will see in the coming years. I am deliberately keeping the focus on inclusion. Okay, I am talking about, we are not talking about people who want 10 lakh loans, 20 lakh or college loans. We are talking about how it can impact a broader segment of the population, and the technology has the way of doing that. So to do this, the key players in this India's digital revolution, I had written in the abstract also. This of course is the center. This is who? Common man of R.K. Lakshman. So the Indian government has blessed everything from the top. Digital India they call it. And they want to empower digital for various reasons. And the real authority behind all this, or the one driver behind all this, is the Reserve Bank with its far-sighted vision and regulation. I'll explain that. And the actual heavyweight lifter is NPCI, the National Payment Corporation of India, who have then spawned many products which all of us are NETC. All this I'll explain in the next 5-10 minutes. RuPay, UPI, AEPS, each one I'll just give a feel for those who are not clear. And of course I put this in very small font, But these are the other players, Paytm, all these UPI Lite, PhonePe, Visa, MasterCard. These are all the fintechs and the others who are also very contributing. But they are private players. They are for-profit players. So, which is also needed. And that's why India's revolution succeeded, because it was not meant from only top-down good intention thing. We have to compete in the market, you have to make money. And that is still the weakness today in driving the revolution further, that it is being sustained artificially. The revenue model for this is not very clear, but hopefully it will become better clear. So here are statistics to prove it. RBI does not just make claims, India is good, and so on. So they have been measuring. There are two reports. One is a report which analyzes from 2010 to 2020. And for every year the data is given, the trend is plotted. And the final graph from that, the digital payment 10-year report, in the reference I have given the link, is showing how we are increasing every aspect. And if those who can read, I will read it for you. ECS is electronic clearance system, that is actually fading out. NEFT, we'll go through each of this in one minute. NEFT, IMPS, NACH, I'll explain each of these. I have a slide on each of these. UPI, of course, all of you have heard. That is the big guy. He is the guy who has shot up like anything, growing vertical now. Okay, and we'll see how UPI works. Then credit cards, debit cards, and then the e-money, which is just starting to make an impact. And these two graphs you will see in many places. One is the volume, one is the value. Volume means number of transactions. Value means the amount of money used in per transaction and so on. And obviously each one has different solutions and different requirements and needs. And retail payment at low cost, 50 rupees, 30 rupee payment and so on, are going to put technically a huge load on the system. So how many of you have heard of UPI Lite? So 1 month back only UPI introduced this, and you can do it now. If you have any UPI app, you can go through the settings. It will say UPI Lite is for payments. You can, it's like a wallet, 2000 rupees you have to put in your bank account into your phone. Then for all transactions, future transactions which are low value, 200, 300 rupees, you don't have to go back to the bank and put your password and all that. Directly it will pay. So it's much faster, easier, smoother. Now you have to go back and use your UPI pin and all that, no? So all those things, they are now, this way then the bank's core banking is not hit by every transaction. You have taken 2000 once, and until that 2000 is exhausted, you don't have to keep going back to the bank. Today if you are paying 20 rupees, 30 rupees, 40 rupees, each transaction is going to the bank. The bank system is getting overloaded. So small value, just like the e-rupee only, but in a slightly different way, where you are your hybrid between e-rupee and current UPI. So RBI again, like I said, is not just, I'm not sure you can read the numbers, I will read it for you, even for me it's a little tight, that it's just saying what is the blue graph pie chart or bar chart is showing what is the rating from 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, and our index which they calculate is now 314. Okay, it was 100 5 years back. What is that index? That index has 5 different factors, each one weighted with different weights. Today I won't go into detail, you can look at the RBI report. One is the enablers. What is the enabler of digital payment? We have internet, mobile, like I said, without that digital payment is not going to take off. But we also have Aadhaar, we also have bank accounts, we also have participants and merchants. QR code versus the POS. POS is costly, QR code is, in the cardboard it is printed. Okay. Dynamic QR is different, I will talk about that. Then payment infrastructure, the demand side, credit card, debit cards, prepaid instruments, okay. Fast tags, NETC, that thing that you stick on the car when you go through toll booths and so on. Then payment infrastructure supply side, this is the branches, the business correspondence, ATMs, POS terminals I was telling you, QR codes is the lowest cost, and intermediaries. And then payment performance, so they are saying what is the volume, is it increasing, what is the value, what is the unique users, okay, that means how many across India unique users. And then what has happened to the paper clearing, is it coming down, or people are still using checks. All of these are measurable, and they use weighted averages of these numbers to calculate the index. And you can see from the blue thing that the index in India is going up, and RBI is constantly measuring this. And consumer sensitivity is very, very important. How aware they are, how educated they are. So when we come to the bad, we are going to see RBI is taking has anybody seen that Raju and 40 Thieves? Have you seen? Anybody? Yeah. So you should tell all of the others. I'll show one slide from there. How that education is important to make people understand what it is and use it properly and not get into these fraud traps and so on. So they given 40 thieves means 40 different ways people are getting cheated today. Luckily, the cheating is still within limits. Like I said, because of two-factor authentication and because by nature, little bit we are suspicious. There are some people who are going to give away their password, their thing, their everything they will tell by nature. Most people are not, so it is okay. So therefore, the declines, this is the other thing we have to handle. How to handle when the technical decline, when the network is broken, something happens, is there a smooth way of doing that? And then of course complaints will always be there. Any system of this scale and size, something will go wrong. How are we handling it? Are people breaking their head and so on and so forth, and system downtimes and so on, availability. So RBI has benchmarked all these with many other countries, at least 20, 30 other countries. And Gartner has this notion of quadrants, magic, 4 different parts of the thing where you are and so on and so forth. And that quadrant for all these factors, I hope you can read some of them. ATM withdrawal, CIC means cash in circulation. POS terminals deployed, check features. In some of them, bigger numbers are better, some of them lower numbers are better. And in all of these, we are world leaders. We are doing better than all other countries. There are 10 other factors in which we are strong, some in which we are moderate, some in which we are weak, and so on and so forth. So this again, I don't want you to read in detail. What they have said is payment system indicators of various type of payments. AEPS, each one I need to spend 1 minute explaining to you, IMPS, NACH, ECS debit, credit card payments. Each one they are tracking every financial year, 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22 in terms of volume, in terms of value, putting the numbers, releasing this data, okay, so that we are able to understand how it is growing and which segment is growing, what is growing. So let's get to that. So like I said, RBI is the real brains behind all this. So we have already heard a little bit about IDRBT, IFTAS. CCIL is a clearing settlement thing. NPCI is the real superstar. Okay, I don't want you to read all the text there. You will, all of them have websites which are wonderful, which explain what they do. And NPCI is a superstar because I'm sure you would have heard about UPI, you would have heard about Bharat Bill Pay, you would have heard about RuPay, you would have heard about many of the products they are offering. So they have been the pillar, or rather the actual movers and shakers in getting digital payments done. And of course RBI also has, this is a report I told you, 2010 to 2020. The next 10 slides, 1 minute each max, is going to explain what India has achieved in 10 years in each of these products, what those products are. So there are payment enablers, bank accounts, Aadhaar card. Why Aadhaar is an enabler? For several things. Biometric for the link to the bank account, e-signatures, e-authorization, e-KYC. Okay, so in many things, what was the cost of doing KYC instead of 200 rupees, it has become 2 rupees. So you can open accounts easily, this, that, and so on and so forth. If you do Aadhaar authentication, which is a consent-based sharing of identity proof. So that way, and then debit cards, credit cards, so RuPay did a lot thing. And then mobile, this is from the TRAI website, how it has increased, 31st May, what was the total number of wireless, wireline, broadband, rural, teledensity. And they have an India map also showing the density, which areas are more, which states are better, less, and so on and so forth. If you want to slice and dice, you have access to all that data. And RBI is, again, every month, NPCI is also doing this, releasing data monthly. I had only up to October could fit on the screen of UPI credit card and showing the percentage of digital payments. And UPI is slowly 67 to 73. It's climbing. Almost all other forms of payment are being replaced by credit cards have declined, debit cards also have declined, wallets have declined quite a lot. Okay, so we are not going to. So the other thing that RBI did was, and this is the key, and this slide I will going to probably repeat later, but skip because of the time. They standardize things. What is the meaning of standards? So you have all got Apple, iPhone, you have got this, you have got, how many chargers do you have to carry with you? They are all doing the same function, but because they make slightly different shape. Why do they make slightly different shape? Number of pins. That is their way of making money. So if you do that, the customer is fleeced. So RBI ensured that we have infinite, the same network for all banks to talk, SFMS, structured messaging. Every bank uses the same protocol, same this thing, IFSC code. So once you standardize it, it's a level playing field. And ISO 20022 is the way in which all financial messages are exchanged between banks. It's an international standard, ISO standard. And if you do that, then you can interoperate. And even a small rural bank can talk to the big bank because of like TCP/IP. Internet has spread everywhere, right? Because TCP/IP is used by everybody. If each person use their own networking protocol, you are going to have islands. So this was broken by RBI. They as a regulator, and the last one is very important. It's only now taking, it's called LEI. How many of you have heard of that? Legal Entity Identifier. That means for companies, they are ensuring that there are no 2, 3 things. And they are just like Aadhaar number for individuals, for companies also they are giving a unique code so that you don't have double books, triple books, all those sort of things and so on and so forth. LEI is good. So now again, I am sorry, I'm taking too much time, I think. But still this one story is good. How many of you have heard this story? So this is why I didn't give this talk 1 month back. Okay, because Ramakrishna, the old lady, went with her son and said, this fellow is eating too many sweets. Okay, why don't you tell him that it's not good for him and give him some advice? He'll listen to you, he never listens to me because he has respect for you. So what Ramakrishna said, come back next week. So she came back next week and then he advised the son, don't do it, this is not good for you, eat only 1 per day, go for walks, exercise. Son said, yes, I will do, and agreed. So mother was, why didn't you tell this last week? So what was the answer? I was eating so many sweets. I wanted to see whether it's possible to control myself. So I'm going to now talk about 10 or 20 products. Each one is a sweet. But I have not eaten, I had eaten only 3 or 4 of them. And because of Professor Jaju, now I have eaten 7 of them. So now I can tell you about them. Okay, others was just reading, and all of you I'm sure will have a chance to use all these products, or you will already be using without knowing. So with that background, let me just say, NaCH almost everybody is using. Okay, so there are 2 ways of understanding NaCH. One is the credit, one-to-many transfer. When the government wants to give gas subsidy, government account is debited and millions and crores of users are getting. Similarly, you give rice subsidy, wheat subsidy. So anybody, even companies who want to pay their employees bonus, everything can be now done by setting up a mandate in the NaCH, national system, which NPCI runs, in which the payments are on a regular basis triggered. And you can do this for SIPs, you can do this for so many other investments, everything, registering a mandate. You don't have to remember to pay each time, type everything, log in and all that, very secure way. The other way debit is bill payment. Lot of people pay and it goes into the biller's account, many to one. I pay MTNL, you pay MTNL. So these are the payment, that also mandates can be set up. Now earlier each person was setting, it was called ECS, electronic, you have to go to the each bank, you have to fill everything, different format, different form, and it will work from this bank to that bank, but not from that bank to this bank. So all this is gone now. This is now NaCH, standardization, okay, like a USB charger. Okay, so one way everybody uses, then it's easy. Okay, then even the small bank can compete. Even he can give you mandates. Earlier he could not, because State Bank would not even talk to him. Today they don't need extra effort to talk to that bank. So everybody is equal. So this NaCH, and it has grown like anything. Okay, so I won't read out the numbers. Card payments you all know. Okay, debit and credit. Okay, RTGS is important. This is, RBI originally wanted it only as wholesale, that for companies to send each other money, banks to send each other money, instant settlement. Usually what happens is that settlements happen at the end of the day. But then there's a systemic risk if large amounts are transferred between players. So RBI set up a system for settling large amounts immediately. Real-time gross settlements. Now it is share in retail. Look at this last graph. This green and blue. It is still used, in the green is the one for large value payments between wholesale. RTGS is still used a lot. But even retail payments are coming under RTGS. So today when you want to do transfer, it will ask you, do you want to use RTGS? It was not available to individuals till about 2-3 years back. It was available only to be more than 1 lakh transaction, more than 2 lakh transactions. Now it is coming down. All of these are merging. This is one thing I want to say, that even though all of them started in different ways and had their own niche areas, today we are coming, UPI is going to swallow all of them. Why UPI is not swallowed all of them already? Trust. We have to prove that you can do, you have to prove there is no fraud, you have to prove there is acceptability. So UPI, as you can see, is being its scope. How many of you know that UPI can be used for IPOs? You can put a mandate and say, if I buy the share, my account is already got enough money. Nothing is, not even 1 rupee is taken from you. But if the shares are allotted to you, then your account is directed because you're given a smart contract.
Since RTGS now is for retail also,
Yeah, yeah.
earlier used to use NEFT.
Yeah. NEFT was a batch.
So now with RTGS coming for small thing, NEFT is coming.
NEFT is also now, see this is the next slide. NEFT was, like Professor Jaju said, a cheaper way for banks to do this fund transfer. They don't do it immediately. They say every 3 hours or it used to be twice a day, then it became thrice a day. Now if it becomes every 5 minutes, then it's almost like RTGS. Okay, but what they used to do, they did it in batch. They would accumulate all the requests for transfers, send it, and the NEFT switch will do a settlement across thousands of transfers. RTGS, for every transfer, they have to do settlement. So NEFT allows this batching, this amortizing the cost of that. So if State Bank to Indian Bank, they may 90% may trade off, this transfer and that transfer may cancel, no need to do any settlement. Okay, that is done by the NFS, National Financial Switch. So NEFT still works, but RTGS 24/7 has overtaken NEFT because the costs of that in real-time transaction settlement, all that is changing. Okay, so therefore RPI felt that liquidity is better. Banks, because of NEFT, have to keep a lot of liquidity. I don't know how it works behind, but some of the finance guys may understand all that. That banks have to keep with RBI some money, because if their customers spend a lot and they owe a lot to other banks, if this bank defaults, then that bank will take from RBI. So RBI can't give. So it asks all the banks to deposit certain amount of money. That affects their operations. So to this level only I know. But beyond that, it has reduced the demand on liquidity and improved it for banks. Okay, so this is NEFT is slowly going to be replaced by what is called fast payments. So the first time fast payment came, not RTGS, is what's called IMPS, immediate money payment, message payment program or something. So RTGS was doing it, but RTGS was too costly. RBI was running one server in Bombay. It couldn't handle the whole national load. They made it wholesale payments. IMPS said, I can do it. Okay, for small value payments, immediate message from bank to bank, move from this account to that account. So IMPS came before UPI. So IMPS is still possible. When you go and you change money, you don't have to use UPI. So then the money will go immediately. Charging mechanisms are RBI regulated, slightly more for this, slightly less for this, and so on. But UPI now works on top of IMPS. UPI protocol works on top of IMPS, and IMPS is the underlying fast payment system which has grown. You can see from 2017, the COVID times, it shot up like anything. Even before there was a trend, it was improving, but now people are used to that, payment and transfer of money, so on and so forth.
For example, in State Bank, when you want to do transfer of money, you get 3 choices, RTGS, NEFT, IMPS.
IMPS.
You don't need UPI.
The UPI is separate. So UPI is not done by banks. UPI, that's what there is the thing. What is UPI? So UPI is having other players. Banks are also,
Replaced by UPI.
yeah. UPI uses IMPS to send messages between banks. This flow is explaining. The next slide, you're just one slide behind. So here it is. So UPI says one important thing. See, when you talked about NEFT, RTGS and so on, I think I should probably go slow and answer questions rather than tell many things which are more difficult. The rest of the slides maybe we can skip also. But this is what is important. In NEFT, you have to know the account details. You have to tell whom you are telling. You have to give his MMID, or you have to give his IFSC code, his account number. You create a beneficiary. UPI is, I've written my address. I didn't write my full address. Even if I had written my full address, nothing is wrong. You don't know which bank I am. You don't know my account number. You don't know anything. I am just IIT Sivat UPI. Somebody wants to pay me, just pay IIT Sivat UPI. Money will reach me. This is all I need to tell. How that works? Because that at UPI is what is called a payment service provider, PSP. So this could be PhonePe, it could be Google, it could be WhatsApp, it could be Paytm. They are not banks. And you don't have accounts with them. Your account is with one of the banks, scheduled banks. Okay, but they act as the front end who translate like your email ID, at gmail.com. It routes the mails between the payment service provider of the payer and the receiver. So there are extra hops. You may think it is going to slow it down. It is not going to slow it down, and it is adding a lot of value. Okay, and then the message flow happens through this UPI switch of NPCI, which has a multi-channel. It first checks whether he has enough credit, then it asks the depositor and tells, have you got the credit, then only commits the transaction. There are still some failures, minor technical declines, 1% and so on, but it's almost, today I'm telling you, real-time payments we are doing, ting, and then that thing says 40 rupees paid. So I bought a samosa, I can pay. Okay, and immediately he hears it on his thing, right? So you are counting on the way the network disruption can, therefore, this is where the bad comes, okay? That
When I make a UPI payment, I give the UPI pin. Once I give the UPI pin, it goes to the bank first.
yeah, it goes to the bank,
And does it check how much amount it is?
100%, and that is,
It gets validated. Then only it goes to the UPI switch of NPCI.
yes.
Not that NPCI checks whether you are.
Yes. So the remitter bank has to ask debit. Can I debit? His account has that much money, then only it will do. Okay, so the first message when I say pay, then it will ask the bank, and only if I say yes, then it will check with the other bank, have you got the credit through IMPS. For the crediting, it uses the IMPS infrastructure. But in front, it does all this extra work on top. Asking for credit, asking for acknowledgement. These are done through what is called APIs, not through message passing. So it is faster. It's another method of implementing communication between different entities, application programmer interface. And it has scaled a lot. It has been built in technically sound way that it can scale to, now it's a billion transactions, more than that a month. They were reaching that. I'll show you the numbers next time.
They have to scale that UPI switch.
Yeah.
But even individual banks would have to scale their.
This is the bank's complaint, that what is happening, because that is why that UPI Lite. Because even small value transactions are coming, banks are now going to make this ledger entry, how much you have sent, how much you have spent, and using what system? Core banking system, CBS. Now this CBS load has shot up. When UPI is shooting like this, every bank is getting so many transactions. Instead of big withdrawals, 20 rupee withdrawal, 30 rupee withdrawal, that system has to scale. Now the point is their software is not legacy software. The core banking software is not UPI software. UPI software written 5 years ago, using nice horizontal scaling, containers. I have slides for all that, but I don't think I have time for that. But the older legacy is not able to cope. So banks have to invest a lot. They are doing what is called vertical scaling. They are buying more memory, faster CPUs, bigger machines, and of course the IT vendors are making a lot of money. So, but this is the debate. And the other banks are not worried only about that. They are not getting paid. MDR is zero. Merchants are not, UPI transactions, they are not supposed to charge you. So the government has mandated all this. Now they are incentivizing. The last 2 years, government, this is the revenue model. Government has allocated a lot of money for small value transactions, and they are giving banks. They are incentivizing banks to encourage small value transactions also. So we have to do technical is one side, policy another, revenue side another side, and so on. I just can't resist telling this interesting use case, and many of you may already have done it. See, next year my son may be studying in some college somewhere. Okay, so suppose he wants to buy something. Of course, I can create a bank account, transfer money, give him ATM card, give him, that's not the way. Easy way is he goes to that shop, when they ask how do you want to pay, he gives this IP ID, IIT Siva at UPI. He tells me, of course. So when I open my phone, I'm sitting in Bombay, he's in some hotel there or somewhere he wants to buy. He gives the payment as this, that's all. I get a message, do you want to pay this much? I say yes. He takes away and goes. There's no money transfer, nothing. All he needed to know was this. Of course, I have to authorize it. Everybody can't give my ID and get the pay, because on my phone, the message will not come anywhere else. I have to open my UPI app and see that there's a collect request. And if I already know that he's going to do it, then I authorize it. How much easier? And the payment goes from my account to that shop. So UPI use cases like this are more and more and more. Collect is just one example which all of us have done, collect requests for many payments. More and more features, IPOs, another thing I told you, recurring payments, bill payments. So when I said UPI is going to replace other things, step by step it will provide more and more facilities in the same app. And this is what people want. They want only one app in which they can do everything rather than different apps for different things. But today it's not yet there, but it is getting there. And the volumes in lakhs are growing like anything. So I won't do the daily statistics and all that, you can look at it. And one of the reasons it has gone so far is because QR code. QR code, this is the easy one. You have seen it in every pawn shop. What is the QR code? It's like barcode. Instead of lines, thick thin lines, it has small squares, black squares arranged in different ways. It encodes the information. The information of who is the recipient, what is his account, what is his UPI ID, and so on when I scan it. But it doesn't tell the amount. So I don't have to put a lot of entries in my phone. I scan the code, everything comes, I just have to put the amount and pay. Now, what is a dynamic QR? Everything comes. And so the use case for this, and it's I just can't resist telling this because we're going to the bad. ATM, there are very, very clever fraud guys in the regular ATM. Some guys found out, and I found out about this only recently, that if when the cash is about to come out and you see it, you power off the ATM, then the cash you can pull out, but it will think the transaction failed and reverse the transaction. So they keep doing this. 5,000 rupee withdrawal, power off the ATM. Come back after 1 hour, 5,000, then power it on, it will come back up. And according to the bank records, your transaction is not done. So if you do this, unless the bank does reconciliation every day, and some banks are lazy, in spite of all this, they don't do it. They don't even have a AI log analysis system which says, how can power go off 20 times? No alerts are raised. So banks have lost, but not huge amounts. It's not 20 crore, because how many times you have to go, withdrawal limits are put. This is where the income, these side of costs are absorbed by the system and passed on to the other customers. Of course, the bank manager doesn't pay. So that's what it is. And QR code, so what ATM people are realizing is that if you do this, then I need not have a debit card or a bank card. I can go to any ATM. I can put my UPI ID and say I want to deduct this much amount. It can generate a QR. I can scan it from my mobile phone and then the money comes out. Now there's no card skimming, there's no power off of the machine, because the dynamic QR has the UPI of the person, has everything, and it's done, processed by the app. I'm sorry, I'm going a little fast, but all these use cases are coming. Okay? So again, in the interest of time, I'm just going to flash slides at you, and then you can ask me questions rather than. QR is quick response code. NPCI developed this in partnership with Visa, MasterCard. Each one had their own QR way of writing information. So what if it's standardized? Essentially standardizing. And therefore, a Paytm's QR code was different from a PhonePe's QR code, was different from a Visa QR code. And the government and RBI said, no, nothing doing. You all sit together, you come up with a standard, agree on the standard. So if you go to a pawn shop fellow who is having Paytm and I have Beam, no problem, because we are using the same QR code. Scan from Google Pay. All of them now know what to scan. Interoperability. So that is what the Bharat QR is. And it was done about 4 years back, and its impact is tremendous. This is the Aadhaar-enabled payment system for the mostly the non-urban areas, inclusion. Acceptance infrastructure as POS terminals, ATM, everything has gone. Banks, number of banks, this is very small diagram telling how many banks are there. They have not increased much. But as you can see, the people per ATM has decreased. More POS terminals, more ATM terminals are available. It's like doctors per citizen, no? Same ratio. RBI is plotting all this. So infrastructure is there. BBPS is yet another initiative of NPCI. It's a new subsidiary now. Bharat Bill Pay system. So electricity bills, TV direct to home, mobile postpaid, landline, broadband, everything you can register mandates with them, it will pay. This BBPS, Bharat Bill Pay system. It is across billers. Okay, it is not with a bank. Okay, so it's like that central switch of the NACH, For all bill payments, every biller registers with them, every bank registers with them. We as a customer talk to them and put our mandate. So then they pair it and exchange messages and give you the receipt, certificate, everything comes to you. You don't have to go. I remember my MTNL getting the line itself took some time, 1991. Then till 1997, I had to take a bus, go to that stop, wait for 30 minutes and pay my bill. Yeah, those were the days. Okay, so NETC we all know, when you drive through, right? The car is driving through the station, it is scanned, your account is debited, but this is prepaid. This doesn't hit the bank's thing every time, you have to load it. Okay? And then of course, if it runs out, you have to recharge it and all that. But it has again helped a lot, and it's come, and again this is older statistics, now it is.
But FASTag balance is not maintained by NPCI?
No, it is on the tag. The issuer of the tag is a bank. Not necessarily one bank, there are 10 or 12 banks which issue FASTags. And there could be other players also. RBI is now looking at a policy where you don't have, everything need not be done by a bank. For this they will authorize PPI, it's called. Paytm is also doing it. Paytm is doing it. So these are people who can issue prepaid instruments. And they are regulated by RBI. It cannot be a non-regulated entity, but need not be a bank. So payment banks, that is coming. The ecosystem is becoming wider. So I will probably spend 5 minutes, if people allow, on the bad, and then take questions. So again, I don't have to explain what happened in Ames, ransomware. I don't have to explain what happened in Upstock's data leak. Then CDSL is a depository where again ransomware hit, all in the last 3-4 months. So be scared, be very scared. So, what? So Ames is our hospital system. They were so computerized that one day morning when they went, none of their computers were working. It simply said, you cannot use your computer unless you pay this much money to this ID. Contact this number if you want to pay. And they are doing this, every machine of theirs is showing this only. Why? Because of some security vulnerability, somebody had injected some malware which had not destroyed the computer but encrypted all the data and shown only this message. This is called ransomware attack. How this happens, to detail, but this happened. So what happened for Ames? They don't want to pay the money, but they can't use their systems. So they don't know which doctor should go to which patient, which this, what. So you can think about the breakdown. This last one, I have not put it here. This is the electricity distribution system in Maharashtra. Their computers got hacked and reprogrammed, or something happens. It stops electricity supply to a lot of people. Think about the Mumbai metro system or Mumbai's rail. Suppose the signaling system is attacked and all signals become red. Which train will move? And if trains don't move, what happens to our economy? So today's war is like this only. And same thing to our payment systems. Okay? When I told about CDSL, you know about the depository, no? Very lucky it happened on a Friday. Same ransomware. Why is CDSL? Because they are needed to settle all the shares, the stock exchanges you were doing trading and all that, no? The depository is what at the end of the day settles. So the next day you can start with the balance and trade again. Because Saturday and Sunday are, see, it's not 24/7 all days for the markets. So they had 2 days time to bring up some of their systems, ship the data, send it to that other depository, NSDL, and get Monday everything became live again. So people didn't know. If it had happened on a Monday or Tuesday, this ransomware attack, our stock markets would have been down for 2 days. Then what happens to investor confidence, this, that? We could imagine one more step, that we cannot recover the data. Here I am saying, if it's only delay, we will still be okay, it will come 2 days, today we are used to that attitude, 2 days without, it's okay. Sometimes it can even, your bank account, State Bank servers, my data is wiped out, and State Bank is not able to recover it. What happens to all the balance I have? How will they give? So some people still take printouts, sign it, keep it, passbook. How many of you have done passbook printing recently? I have not done. Okay, so I don't have a proof that I have this much money in State Bank. So if suddenly State Bank says, no, your account balance is this much, of course I am kidding, okay? But that's what is the threat, that this is where we can go.
But don't these banks or CDS and all timestamp and keep that in the packet?
That's a legal requirement. But what we are saying is, being on, Saumil can explain more, being on the technology committees and security audit committees, the practices are not yet at that level of preparedness. So they are asked for a maturity index, and SEBI and RBI ask each bank to rank itself. And the score is 90 out of 100, 89 out of 100, and I think that's a very good score. But this slide says, the attacker needs only one hole. Okay? You got 90 and there's one hole gone. And many times these holes...
The question I'm asking is that suppose SBI bank gets hacked.
Yeah.
Won't they know my exact balance and transaction?
If their backup system also is not hacked.
Don't they have mandated backup?
They have mandated backups, but then they are not air-gapped. The word for that is air-gapped. That if you have the backup system also online, the same bug that infected the main thing can go there and corrupt that also.
It should be air gap. That's why I got the point.
So air-gap, nobody uses those old tapes anymore, the ones that we were using, cassette tapes, and store it off-site. Of course, government has mandated that. RBI has mandated that. Mandated means they don't inspect it. Somewhere these gaps come. I'm not saying banks are bad. Everybody knows the problem. But this slide is capturing all that. Defender needs one hole. He can choose to attack when he wants. Defender needs to be ready all the time. And therefore, they are investing a huge amount of data in what's called big data approach. That they are trying to find out who is attacking my network, where they are watching all the traffic, at spending huge amounts of money building what's called SOC, Security Operations Center. Whereas what you need is AI, right data. What is the threat? Who is going to attack me? What are the indicators of compromise? So again, I can give 1 hour lecture on this. Okay, but just to tell you, there's an asymmetry, and therefore the attackers have a field day, and therefore RBI has, I'm going to read out some of these 40, okay, one of them in the next page I have, SIM swap, have you heard? My mobile number, I told you when my son charges, it will come to my mobile. The other, if my mobile is compromised and my SIM is taken by somebody, he can start paying. His friend can raise a request, he can act like that and he can pay. My account is debited, but that means he needs my SIM. So one way is to steal my phone and then hold a gun to my head and ask what is your password and all that. That is less likely, but the SIM swap is much easier. Okay, so they can regenerate a SIM and then see, because this, again I'm oversimplifying. These telecom service providers also want to make their convenience for the customers to stop the number, move it from mobile number portability, change the SIM, do the thing. So they want to make it easy, so they are given online ways of doing it. So the attacker exploits that and sends a request saying, I want to change my SIM, I want to change my handset, because we change handsets and all that. No, they can't bind everything. So there are ways where if he can disable your phone for half an hour, the SIM goes to him, provided you reveal one OTP to him. And how do they get that OTP revealed? Exploit, greed, dare, trust. So this is a 40 examples like this. Each one has a comic page. It's available free. Okay, hard copy may not be free. You may have to go to RBI. Soft copy is free. And each page is a cartoon. This guy gets a call saying, I'm your bank manager. If you don't do KYC by tomorrow, all your account will go. You cannot make transactions, this, that. So do KYC, but I'll help you. Do it online. This guy will say, okay, he'll do it. And he'll say, what is the number that came, what came, gone. So they act like they're helping you, they put you in some fear, electricity will be cut, or they greed. Okay, we will give you 10 tickets to the World Cup final, something, and then you say, okay, let me try. So this way there are 40 different, I don't want to read out the whole thing, but RBI has done this service also. They made it a easy to understand comic book. Unfortunately, I didn't see the Hindi version, I would have put that. I saw the English version, but I'm sure they're bringing it out in all languages and they're spreading it out to everywhere. And this education has to take place. Now the last part I think I'll skip in the interest of time. It explains below the hood. I'll just show the slide, not tell anything. That open standards are important, and maybe one puzzle, if you bear with me, and then stop. This puzzle is this. Why it is so hard is because when you send messages to your bank, you have to encrypt the message. With what key? The bank cannot give keys to everybody, right? Your browser and the bank's server have to encrypt, otherwise the person in the middle, it can be even Vodafone, Airtel, they can. So at the start you have to exchange a key. So that is diagrammatically captured here. A wants to send a confidential message to B, but they don't have that key yet. So the first few messages are called key establishment. But unfortunately this fellow is listening to even those messages. So if they use simple protocols like this, I will send you 3 numbers, you multiply them and use their LCM or something like that as the key. Then it's a very foolish thing. This guy will also do it. He will know what key you are using. You understood the problem? I'm not asking for a solution. Okay, this is called key exchange problem. Do you think it can be solved? That is there a way for A and B to talk in plain language, which Professor Jaju, let us assume, is the attacker, and Mr. Radia and I are trying to exchange a key, and we can talk only to each other in front of him. Everything I tell, he is hearing. Everything he tells also, he is hearing. Can we exchange some messages? At the end of it, we both have a secret key and he doesn't know. It's possible. Okay? It's possible 30 years back in mathematics. Similarly, there are problems for mutual authentication. When you talk to each other, you don't know. See, I get a call now and say, I'm Meenakshi, how are you? What will I assume? I see her number, my wife's number, and I hear the voice. Should I believe it is her? All of you will believe, no? I can tell you it need not be her. Okay? The Vodafone can, from another phone, put her number as the thing, and her voice from a previous call, they can now, chat GPT and all that, no? There are also voice synthesizers. So it can speak in her voice, and it can ask me all sorts of things, and if I trust it. So, but instead, if I don't trust and I ask you, prove to me that you're Meenakshi, then I will have different problems when I go back. This is what banks have to do. I have to know I'm talking to State Bank server. How do I know? Some other guy looks like State Bank server. He says, I'm State Bank server. How do we authenticate each other? Okay, even if we have keys, we can't reveal the key because the attacker will know. So this is one problem. Then one more thing, this is called zero knowledge proof. I promise you this is the last. Okay. So the last one is this. All of you know Rubik's Cube? So in a 10th, in the school, in a 5th standard, teacher tells the children, and she gives the middle one cube or this cube starting point and says, you find out how to solve this cube and make it like this. Whoever comes tomorrow and is able to show this will get 20 marks, 100 marks, whatever. So what do the good children do? They actually try. What do the bad children do? That is one way. You have to do it in front of her. Okay. So they go to their big brother, IIT student hostel, and say, teach me how to do this. So the IIT fellow is also, how much will you pay me? You are going to give in 1,000 rupees. So this guy will say, okay, should I pay you? Because how do I know you know? Just because you're bigger than me, you also may not know. So you prove to me that you know how to solve this problem. So the solution like this is very bad. Suppose the big boy tells the small boy, you close your eyes, give me the cube, I will solve it and give you the cube back. Should the small boy believe it? No, because he can take that cube, put it in his pocket, take another one. So that's why he said close your eyes. So the small boy will have a video camera. But then he will not allow, because the video camera will capture the moves and without paying me you will know. So can this problem be solved? Can the big boy prove to the small boy that he knows how to solve without telling him how to actually solve? It can be done. Okay, the can be done depends on this random coin toss. You take some other starting position, the big boy takes some other cube, the middle cube, and the small boy either gives him this challenge, go from here to here, or he gives this challenge, go from here to here. He can't give both. Sometimes he will say go from here to here. Sometimes he will say go from here to here. So unless you know both paths, you can't solve. But by seeing you solve half the path, each time is a new starting position, middle position. So I hope I conveyed the idea. Okay, so mathematically this can be done, and this is what is needed in all those account aggregator, payment aggregator and all that. You can show the data without telling the data. You can show I own the data. You can prove that this is the thing without revealing any password, any this thing and so on. So all this are the heart of many things, and data security, this, that. And then infrastructure, Dockers, containers, cloud, tokenization to reveal a lot of information, Aadhaar vault. Then this is the last but 2 more slides which I'll just flash. This is, I have given this. It's a 10-page article, well worth reading. I have given the link. It's a digital fifth. They wrote it 2 months back. They drew a nice diagram putting all the players, the enablers, this thing, analysis of India's ecosystem for fintech. It's 3-month-old thing. It's worth reading, layman's language, its reference is given. Then RBI has another document called what else do we need in the next 3 years. It's called Payment Vision. 4 E's, 5 I's, 6 attributes. This is our former Vice President, Venkaya Naidu's trick. 4 E's, e-payment for everyone, everywhere, every time, like that. So they have given it nicely and told what all can be done more. And also not just qualitative, they say what they expect to happen. UPI will increase like this will decrease, that will decrease, and so on and so forth. And this is my very last slide, which is telling you that if you have some time, all these are freely available material on internet. RBI's reports are excellent source, well written with lot of data, graphs and explanation, and aimed not at the technical person but at the average person. NPCI's website, I don't want to do a live demo now. If you go to their website, for every product I told you, NACH, UPI, e-rupee, they have what's called a product booklet. The product booklet is 10 pages explaining how that thing works. And they have product statistics, daily statistics, monthly statistics, weekly statistics. And they have many other things, what is coming up. So what we do link, if you go, for each of the NPCI's products, there is a detailed explanation. So I'll stop here, maybe invite 1 or 2 questions. And then last one is the digital fifth, the one that I showed you, this diagram. It's an article which explains all these players. You can't read it. Payments platforms, payment gateways, payment switch, NPCI, wallet, contactless cards, point of sale, bill aggregators, credit card payments, banks. They have talked about the role of each of these players in building the financial ecosystem of India. So I will end by just saying that even 5-10 years back, India was playing catch up. Other countries had something. Take a space, take aeronautics, take aeroplanes, take military hardware, take any domain, take nuclear plants. In most domains, in 90% of the domains or almost all the domains, we were trying to catch up. They were 3 steps ahead, we were trying to catch up. Here is an example where we are ahead of almost everybody in the world, like he also said. This sort of thing is not possible in even the advanced countries. And we have done it at citizen scale. It is not only for rich people, and it's at an affordable, inclusive way. So I think this is something we can be reasonably proud of. And I'm sure it will become better and better in this, provided that security and attacks don't sort of bring us all down. It's hard to revert. There is no way you can now go back to paper currency at that scale and transactions of those olden day checks and this and that. Everybody is used to this convenience. So it's not possible to roll back. So hopefully we will survive the security parts and do it well. So I'll stop here. I don't want to delay everybody. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. So, with the speed which you explained, this digital payment is being implemented in India. So, do you think that the paper-based money will be vanished in the near future, or we will be living in the hybrid mode?
So the way they say it, and this is how you will see here. Cashless is not possible, but less cash is happening. And when the less will become zero, it might take 5 years, 10 years, it will not become zero. Because all said and done, cash has some advantages which digital does not have, okay, which is universality in some sense. You need a phone, even feature phone, UPI 123, have you heard? See, all of us assume that everybody has a phone like this, okay, with a screen, touch screen. No. Even in India, it's only maybe half the population. Another half who have phones have what is called feature phone. You have done that, no? That tick tick. In that, how do you do UPI? You can do. Okay. It used to be called SSD method, hashtag and all that. Now they have got a better way. Okay, through SMS it comes. You just have to press. Much easier than that SSD. That's called UPI 123, and it is just in the last 6 months, 1 year it has started. And this is not as easy to use as a smartphone. So cash will be needed. Yeah.
But the way the past system went is like barter system or coin system, and the speed with this digital payment is, I mean, what will be the need of then paper-based money after
No.
30 years?
Theoretically, you are right. Theoretically, it should be like the days of the kings. We go to a petrol pump. I pick up that thing and put it in my car. Petrol comes. You pick up and you put it. Petrol doesn't come. Why? Because my fingerprint tells the bank account it's debited, smart contract, or a facial recognition system says this fellow is this thing. So as you walk, the door opens. Nobody wants locks and keys now, right? You go into a building, it knows you. Why the hell you have to put your key? So you have seen movies, bank robberies. They actually take the guy's mask, put his face, and do that. That is not a dream. It is science. It's not just science fiction. That type of technology exists where it is authenticating. Authentication has 3 methods. You have heard that? One is what you know. It is password. It's all old way, very error-prone way. Next is what you have, a phone or a token or something. The third is what you are. That is your face, your nose, your voice, biometrics, your fingerprints, combination, iris. Even iris can be cheated, but it's a very high cost. If somebody wants to cheat my iris for 500 rupees, obviously he can't. If it's for 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, okay, it may be worth investing all that. But otherwise, so therefore we have to do this balance. Your point is correct, that technically we would like to live in a world where there are no bad guys. In that case, paper currency can go. But when there are bad guys, we have to slow down the process and put all these checks and balances, small amounts, frequency, all those things. Ideally, we would not need, I said, no, money. We don't need money, ideally. What we need is, philosophical approach. But while we need money, paper will have a role. It's like books. Have paper books gone away? It is not because, see, even he said it, no? State Bank has ledgers which are printed. There's a legal requirement that some of these things have to be printed and signed and filed somewhere once a year. Why? Because paper lasts 500 years, 1000 years. It may fade and all that. Now the digital thing may get corrupted, I may put some high frequency, ultraviolet radiation, something, all the bits will change. I may have kept it on tape, but then I just have to come outside, drive a van and put some technology may come which will erase all the tapes. Even the air-gapped one has not sound, unless you have insulated it. So let's not keep, because the attacker knows 1,000 things more than the defender. So we have to do all this, but it's a hard job. Yeah. Yeah. Sure, please.
So you'll all agree it was not only informative, a very enriching talk, and it was very deep, and it's only the way how the digital technology is enabling the way, as I said, as we learn, as we pay, as we live. These QR codes have changed life. The youngsters, I envy them that in our days in the hostel, when we wanted something, we wanted to actually go on a bicycle and get something. Today it's all Swiggy and Zomato. So I tease these youngsters that this digital is changing your life. You will not have kitchens. You'll have a small wall with QR codes and you won't cook, So it's something like that. Life is changing on the lighter head. But sir, it was really enriching. I only wish there were more people today, because this is something we all want to know. We are using it, but at some point of time we feel how this should be working, or not more than that, we feel what threat is behind it. So you've cleared a lot of those cobwebs today, and as an Indian, we are really proud that it is this area where we are really leading the world. Because usually in the papers you see statistics, on that index we are 84th or we are below 200. This is something we are all proud of, that we are actually leading the world and people are learning with us. So thank you, Professor Sivakumar, and thank you, Professor Jaju, for getting him here. And I'm sure we will have in future wonderful talks under this center of B.H. Jaju AMS Center for IT, Entrepreneurship in IT. Thank you for coming. Good night.